All right, here we go. Tiny, welcome back to VladTV.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we were just talking. It's been like 6 years since our last one.
Yeah, too long.
Too long, too
Too
long.
long.
And honestly, with I've probably done about 1,000 interviews. I gotta say, you're one of the nicest people I've
Oh,
ever
thank you.
interviewed.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I
Yes, well,
walked away from our
your
last one.
your interviews are always amazing,
Thank
different
you,
and amazing. So,
thank you, thank you.
say that,
Well,
man.
before we get into the whole rest of the story, you have a new show called The Mix.
Yes, yes, that is my new baby. Um, it is just a show that I felt like needed to be created for the younger generation, for us to understand, more where they're coming from, how they feel, what they think, because there was a time for me, I know I was like kind of, they are just going crazy, like they so wild, and I guess it's really because you see so much because of social media versus when it was back in our, wilder days. It was not really social media going on. So, and, with that, I say watching Zanique and Regine and all her friends, just kind of how they vibe, kind of things they talk about. I felt like it needs to be a platform for this generation so they can speak to their people.
Yeah, I mean, your daughter Zanique is on it. Romeo Miller, Master P's son,
Yes.
is on it. Anton Peoples, Jamie DuBose, am I saying it right?
Yep.
And Jazz Anderson.
Yes. I love my cast. I think, it's a well rounded cast, being that they are all different ages and different walks of life. Some has been, their family has been in the business for so long, they grew up in it, and, it's just seeing things through a different eye, than others. I just felt like it was well rounded and just a good cast and all.
Well, congrats. I mean, you're one of the executive producers or the executive producer on the show.
Yes, I am. Yes, I came up with this idea and and just went to James DeBose and we made it work.
Right. And I mean, you've worn this executive producer hat a few times now because some of your other shows you actually executive produce as well.
Yes, yes. I've been lucky to be able to executive produce. I think every show I've been on so far. So yes, to my
Every
interest.
show, every show that you've been on, you've executive produced.
Yes, yes,
Wow. Wow. Now, it's just amazing to see people, that have been in the industry for so long and start out as one thing, just being an artist to transition to so many other things like you've done, to be a songwriter, winning a Grammy that way, to now getting to television and putting on your boss hat for that, as opposed to just being another cast member in a reality show. You actually are executive producing the shows, creating shows, having a level of ownership in it. It's just dope.
thank
I'm
you.
impressed.
Thank you. Yes. I've been blessed, to be able to do that. I know it's different coming out of the music and just being able to come in and really come in at a level like that. It's definitely a blessing.
No doubt. Congrats on this.
Thank you.
Well, we've done interviews before, but I really want to get more into your story because I feel it's so exceptional. You grew up with mixed parents,
Yes.
and these days that's extremely common, but back then, not so much.
Yeah. So yeah, and a lot of people don't know this, but my mom and her first husband, which was my sister and brother's father, were the second couple in I think in the southern areas or to be married, interracials. I know it was one couple before them. It was a black woman and a white man got married first, and then they were the second couple. So yeah, it's pretty deep because I know I listen to their stories and how they tell me they would like let my mama through the front door, but my dad and them be performing, they had to go in through the back. You know, yeah, so it was different. Just hearing a lot of their stories. They have so many. My mom, I just tell her, like, if you wrote a book, like, her story is so interesting. Like, just hearing a lot of things that she went through, it's crazy.
Well, right, because these days interracial is literally like almost the norm. I mean, we
Right.
had an interracial president. We now have an interracial vice president. But Loving versus Virginia, which was basically the Supreme Court decision to allow interracial marriage, was 1967.
Yeah.
So that was not, you know, like your parents were growing up in an era where it was just illegal. You
Yeah.
could not marry the opposite, you know, a different race without potentially going to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she got married right there in that 67, 68, 60, right there. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, your parents were kind of trendsetters and trailblazers in a way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, growing up with mixed parents like that, were there ever any issues in terms of like racism from both sides?
I mean, I didn't really feel like as a child, I didn't feel like I caught that, you know. But my sister and my brother have a different story. They said growing up, because we always stayed like in Decatur, Georgia. It's kind of like the hood, you know, like where, you know, it's mainly black. And I won't say it's just the hood, but like it's mainly black people. It's not like a lot of white people. So my sister and my brother, they were younger and they were like the mixed kids with a white mother. So they say they had to fight all their life growing up. You know what I'm saying? But when I came up, as a young girl, I stayed off of Cleveland Avenue, and I don't remember a lot of racism like that, you know. I don't remember going through it myself like that.
Now, you started singing at what age?
I started really singing at the age of probably like 12, 11.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of late. I feel like it was kind of late.
Did it start in the church or singing lessons?
No, it really started. My father is a singer. He's a singer. He comes from. The name of his group is called the Tams. They were out in the '60s, and they were like a big beach group with the Drifters and everything. So like I was around it all my life. You know, just going in and out of clubs, being with my father, traveling to Myrtle Beach, Jekyll Island. That's where I was most of my life. And I mean, I just kind of, as I was, you know, growing up, I wanted to dance. Everything was about dance. And my father would be like, you can't make any money dancing. Like, you need to start doing something else, like singing. And he would hear me in the house singing, like, different people's songs. I think, like, one of my main people were, like, Mariah Carey. I started trying to really get into her. And, you know, he would hear me and started training my voice at that time. And I was like maybe about 12, somewhere around in there.
Yeah, I actually looked up the Tams as you were talking about it. They had some snazzy outfits, let me tell you.
Yeah.
The Tams, let me show you.
Yes. Now that picture right there is like a newer picture of them. So that's like the young Tams. But if you go to like some of their old, like my brother's been with them since he was 7 years old. He's now like 50 or yeah. So yeah, that's the originals. That's my father in the far left top.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you grew up in a household that was already deeply in music professionally, not just music fans. You guys were actually in the music business already. Yeah. How successful were the Tams? Did they ever have any hit records or anything else like that?
They had hit records. I think they had like I don't know what she said they charted or they was on chart records, but they definitely had big records like What Kind of Fool Do You Think I Am? I think You Lied to Me, You Lied to Your Daddy. They had a few, about 4 or 5 like nice, pretty big songs.
Okay. Now, here you are in Atlanta, and people have to realize this is not the Atlanta of 2020 at that time. Atlanta really had no music scene at all. I remember when I interviewed Jermaine Dupri, he was like kind of telling me how there was just nothing in Atlanta. You know, no hip hop scene, no labels, no major studios. He was flying like writers and stuff like that down to Atlanta. You know, for example, I just interviewed Speech from Arrested Development, where, you know, and they got their start also. And they were saying how in the beginning it was like, you know, their first song was called Tennessee. Like everyone just assumed they were from there because Atlanta was not this hub. The Jermaine Dupri So So Def era came later.
That's after.
Yeah, Atlanta, because I'm thinking like, well, what about Atlanta? But like, nah, you're right. Atlanta at the time was just a small southern city without a bunch of energy around it.
No, it wasn't. In hip hop in particular, there wasn't a lot of energy going on a nationwide, worldwide level. Now, locally, we had acts that we knew about here. You know what I mean? But nah, nationwide, it wasn't. It just wasn't like that.
So as you're coming up, and I guess you sang at Jermaine's birthday party or something like that, where you got discovered. At that point, did you think that you were gonna get on in Atlanta, or did you feel like you needed to go to New York or LA or someplace else?
Well, I mean, we didn't feel like we knew that it was some big producers at the time in Atlanta. We knew that Dallas Austin was a big time producer. We knew that Jermaine Dupri was LA and Babyface. So we knew that we had a chance, because by this time Tony Braxton had been out. I think TLC had just kind of started coming out, but at first we were kind of like traveling. We traveled to DC when we did the first show we did, which was it was kind of like a talent show. I can't remember. Mark Cooper, I think, was doing the hosting or whatever, and we sung "Hold On," and that was like our moment when people start to really know, like, oh, those girls. And even Jermaine, by the time we met Jermaine, he was like, oh, it's this little group. People kind of like, we would go places and they'll kind of remember us from that show. But we still didn't have a deal. We didn't have anybody. And then we started working with, I don't know if you remember The Boys.
Yeah, of course.
So we started working with The Boys' father, which is, his name is Jabari. And he basically started like grooming us. And from there, when we got back within and got to Jermaine, and he said, oh yeah, he liked us. We sung for him. He liked us. But he said, after, Criss Cross wasn't out yet. He was like, after I put them out, I'm going to come back and get y'all. And we kind of was like, yeah, we done heard it all. Dallas Austin told us we sang too loud. So that didn't go well for us. We was kind of like a little down, but we never stopped rehearsing. We would rehearse like 4 or 5 days out the week, and we would just sing and sing and sing till we felt like. And then, one day Jermaine he kept his word. He called us back and said, hey, bring that group back. And we ended up singing, we were singing Is My Living in Vain for him. And from there, he was like, yo, I'm going to go in the studio. He redid the track, and that's the first thing we recorded.
Right, and originally Xscape had 5 members?
Originally, we had 5 members, and her name was Tan. She was in the group before me. And at first, they thought, well, I think when they called me to come in audition for the group, they were thinking about maybe replacing her, because I think they felt like she wasn't really as much into it as, the rest of the girls. So they had me come audition, but when they had me audition, they wanted me, but they didn't want to necessarily get rid of Tan either. So it became a foursome. And we started working with Jabari, and Jabari is the one who basically put her out of the group.
Oh, okay.
They had a very big argument one time. We was at the studio, and it just went left field, and he said she was out of the group.
Man, I'm sure she feels a level of regret.
Well, I mean, I don't think she does, because I think that, she's still very good friends with, her and Kandi are best friends, and, me and her are also very good friends. And I think she's done so well for herself. Like, she went to college, and she's like a realtor, and she makes, her husband, he builds houses, homes, so they kind of like join and make a lot of good money, and, they're doing good. So I think she's pretty happy with herself, with her life,
That's dope.
Married, got her kids, a good, happy home,
When you guys first started putting together the first album, was it kind of established that you're the lead singer, or was that kind of still up in the air?
No, we were always singing, always a foursome, and everybody sung lead. That was our thing that we thought made us different. We always came like, yo, all of us can sing. It's 4 girls, and we all 4 sing, because we would always find groups that came before us, or some groups that we would be up against that they have 1 or 2 singers, but it's 4 or 5 girls, and we thought it was just unique that all of us could get up in front and do and sing lead. So
Right,
it
but when
never
you look,
was like a no, like it was just this is what we do. We switch and we all sing lead. And then we started recording and the producers started just doing what they want to do. It was out of our hands.
right, because when you look at the track record of all your big singles, you're on lead on most of them.
Well, I'm gonna lead on some of them, but some of them not. So it's okay. But I think everything was in divine order. Of how it was supposed to be. I guess the producers knew what they wanted, and we delivered. And I mean, things could have went different, but we're happy with the way they went.
Okay, so the first album, Humming Coming At You. Has anyone else asked you that this is actually a lyric from a Cypress Hill song from How I Could Just Kill a Man?
Yes, we actually got sued for that. So, yeah, we knew about it afterwards because it was definitely Jermaine's idea. He had this idea of what he wanted us to be like and look like and so on and so on. So he felt like us looking like little rappers and coming out singing like we sung was like gonna be like a shocker, more so like make people be like, dang, I thought they was finna come out here and rap and they blowing, so he came up with doing the Humming Coming At You, and anyway we ended up getting sued for that and we had to pay up.
Okay, by Cypress Hill or by Columbia or
by Cypress Hill.
Okay, because that song really has nothing to do with Xscape. Like it's a song called How I Could Just Kill a Man.
Yeah, but I mean we use just the Humming Coming At You because that's the name of our album. And
right.
Humming Coming At You, what he meant by it is they singing and they coming at you like they humming like hummingbirds and they sound and they coming at you. So I get what he was coming from because that's all he really used is the humming coming at you. You know what I'm saying? That's all he really used. So I get what he was thinking. He didn't, wasn't necessarily what they were actually talking about though.
Right, because in the song they're talking about a bullet being fired at somebody.
Yeah. I get it. So he used it for his own, like what he wanted it to be for.
Do you remember how much you guys had to pay up for that lawsuit?
I do not remember. I know we got sued a few times. I do not remember how much that one was.
So you come out with your debut album, and there's always a lot of pressure when you have a brand new group. People aren't really familiar with the various personalities in the songs. It comes out and it goes platinum.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, a platinum album in your debut, like how did that feel? Because you were how old at the time?
I was 17, I believe, when my album first dropped.
You were a 17-year-old teenager. What, still in high school?
Yeah, it was my last year. Last year, I think it was. 93. So it came out in 93. Yeah, 93. Yeah.
Were you still going to school as this album was coming out?
I'm just gonna be real with you. I never finished school because I hated going to school. I'm just going to be honest. It was just hard for me to get to going to school. Once I got there, I was fine. But just getting to going, it was my issue. So once I started like singing and doing knowing that this is real, like I'm about to drop an album, I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to school, but I don't know. And once I went and they told me, because the problem is I had been switching around schools all my high school time, that when I switched from the last school I was at, the school that I ended up at was like, well, you don't have enough credits right now because, we don't credit the way they credit over there when you came from George High. And I was just done like this. And that made me feel like, I lost all hope. And I was just like, you know what? I'm about to drop a single in a minute, in 1 minute. And I didn't finish, But I don't know, wish I would have finished, but I didn't. God bless me to be able to keep going and, be able to, take care of myself.
Well, Just Kicking It was the big single off that album.
Yes.
Is that the biggest song to date?
Maybe either that or maybe Who Can I Run To? I don't know.
Yeah, off the next album.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, Just Kicking It was a huge single.
But I know it was, for the longest years of our career, it was the biggest song, yes. And it still may be, but I don't know. Who Can I Run To is pretty, like, they may be neck and neck.
Well, here you are, 17 years old, platinum album. Did that single go platinum?
Yes. The single went
Platinum single. Plus, on that album, you got Understanding, Love on My Mind, other big songs. You're a teenager, and now suddenly you're really like in the music business with a hit album and hit songs. Like, how does that feel at that age?
I mean, it was amazing. You know, new for me. I felt like a superhero. I will not lie. I mean, you know, it was just beyond what I could imagine the business would be like. I mean, it was great to be in the business because I wanted to be there, but it also was a lot of work, you know. And I think for us, you know, for Xscape, when we came out, we did so much work in our first year and we didn't really get paid. So it kind of like drained us. It kind of made us like, we felt we appreciated, you know, where we had made it to, but we felt like we had really worked hard for it, you know. I mean, you know, I don't know if a lot of other artists had the same, you know, same thing about like we did, like work like night and day, all week long and not, you know, for free. But we did a lot of, it was like, oh, it's promotion. Like, dang, when is we gonna get paid? Like, we want to make some money. Like, dang, we tired. Like, we want to go to sleep. What? So it's just like, it was, well, you know, we felt like we worked for it. We worked hard.
Well, there's a platinum album, but you guys are a brand new group, so usually those deals are not the best in the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's 4 members, and there's managers, and there's the label, and everything else like that. Like, at what point did the money start to come? Was it a while?
It was a while. And, you know, I mean, I say, like, to us, when you're not used to making any money, well, for a long time, like I said, we did so much promotion that we didn't make any money. It was a long time before we really got to see any money for real. I don't know how long. I'd say at least a year. But I mean, you may need one of the other girls to tell you, but I say it was too long for me. And it's the reason why I say to, you know, a lot of artists, even my artists, I just tell them, like, it's imperative that we try to learn the business so we'll know what we're dealing with as we're going. Because who knows if we were really supposed to do so much promotion that we never got paid. We don't even know how to check if the money was really flowing through or it really was promotion. And so we had all the people working for us and they would tell us, like, look, let us handle the business and you just be an artist. You see what I'm saying? And we were like, yeah, they got us, you know? And I just think that it was just the dumbest thing to do. So, you know, we learned the hard way, but I think that's imperative that you learn what's going on, what you're doing, what you're getting yourself into while you're doing it.
Well, right, because you got to understand that back then you needed a major label to really have a chance to do anything. There was no YouTube, there was no SoundCloud. You could not really independently make any sort of mark back then. You needed that machine to really even make minimum wage.
Right, you had to have it. It's no other way.
Yeah. So then the second album comes out, Off the Hook.
Yes.
And that goes platinum again.
Yes.
And Who Can I Run To is on that album.
Yes. Who Can I Run To is on that album. Do You Want To is on that album. Feel So Good is on that album. Those are the singles on that album. I think Run to the Arms is on. No, that might be on the third album. I don't know. I'm getting mixed up. But either way, it was my favorite album of all our albums.
Well, I mean, I think that Who Can I Run To is probably, I mean, in my opinion, Xscape's best song.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Well, I think in terms of a timeless song,
yeah.
You know, Just Kicking It is dope, but I kind of feel like that's a record that was really, you know, it was that era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was really kind of personified that era, whereas Who Can I Run To is sort of just a timeless ballad.
Timeless ballad, yeah. I feel that. I'm with that too. I think Understanding also had its own moment where it touched a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? So Understanding, but that was on our first album. So it was another big song coming after Just Kicking It. It was another they really got talent. You know.
Right. And Organized Noise actually did one of the tracks on that album.
Yes, they Organized Noise did Tonight, and another song on the album as well. I think Understanding was done by Jermaine and Emmanuel Lewis.
And that was right around the same time that Waterfalls came out by TLC, which they produced.
Yes, exactly.
So they were on fire at that point.
They were. There's some good producers. They were good.
Okay. Now, the album comes out in 1995. A couple years later, Biggie starts to blow up. Biggie had already blown up and did really well. And there was that song, Dreams, where he dissed you guys.
Right.
And here we go in 1997. There's this huge vibe party in LA. And Biggie is there.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, he tried to approach you guys to apologize.
So he did. And so there was a couple times after the Dream song that we had a couple shows, and he would be, Jermaine would be like, yo, Biggie wants to see y'all. He wants to talk to y'all. And, some of the girls was like, no. I don't remember, I just remember us not really wanting to deal with him. Like, we don't want to talk to him, but man, And then, at the vibe party, he was there and someone came to us. Biggie wanted to speak to us. And Kandi was like, I'm not going over there. I don't want to talk to him. And I was just like, all right, I'll go over there. So I went. And he basically apologized and said he was, he apologized for saying that he thought we were beautiful. And that, he was just like, he was like, I'm an ugly motherfucker and I ain't had no business talking about nobody, And we laughed and he gave it, we hugged or whatever and it was all good. And then,
Well, yeah, and then, maybe 30 minutes later, he gets murdered.
Like, it was crazy. So, and I just know for Kandi, she was like, dang, I should have said something.
Right. I mean, when you heard that news, considering you had just talked to him, like, right before, like, how did you feel?
Well, it was crazy. It was, like, so real. Like, so, just trying to, like, I just felt like I was just glad that I got a chance to, like, even say anything. And speak to him, we got a chance to talk, and he got a chance to tell me how he felt. He apologized, and it went all good.
Well, right, because Jermaine Dupri had been working with him, right? Because the Brat showed up on that song with him.
Right, him and Jermaine were always still friends. They were cool, and Jermaine would always try to get us to try to talk to him, He'd be like, he wants to talk to y'all. He loves y'all music, and we were like, no. And so, that's how that happened. And that happened for years, and then we got to see him at the vibe party.
Yeah, rest in peace. One of the greatest ever, even to this day. Oof. Okay, so then the next album, Traces of My Lipstick.
Traces of My Lipstick.
And that had The Arms of the One Who Loves Me.
Yes. You like that song, The Arms of the One Who Loves You? I just love the fact that we got to work with Diane Warren. I mean, like, she's a mega songwriter, and she was writing songs for all the major artists at the time, and we wanted to be a part of that, and we finally got to work with her. It was just amazing time for us. We really felt like we were growing, like we had really made it at this point.
Right. Babyface did some production on it.
Yes. So.
Keith Sweat as well.
Keith Sweat was on. Yes, he was. What song was that? The song we did with this group. Yeah, but he's definitely on there.
He did Am I Dreaming?
Yes, Am I Dreaming?
So this album goes platinum once again. You guys are 3 for 3.
Yeah, 3 for 3. Yeah, this album took us a little minute to go platinum because we kind of broke up in the middle and right at the beginning of this album coming out. So we had to find a way to get back on the road to kind of promote this album, even though we were no longer together as a foursome. And so what we did was we ended up just trying to get back together in different ways, different times with different members, and going out there doing promotion, different places, and getting that album to 1 million sales. So and we did.
Well, I mean, Xscape ended up selling 7 million albums worldwide. You guys have 3 platinum albums in a row, a bunch of big songs. Why on earth would you guys decide to break up at that point?
I think it was a lot of ego involved. It was a lot of people from not just us four that's outside of us that have their input and their say, and it just kind of just turned into a big and then also we had like little small issues from early on in the days that kind of escalated, never got resolved, and just blew up into this big, like, I don't like you, I can't stand you type of thing. And it just got hard to keep it together, to come to work. Like, it started feeling like, just a drag just to be there, Nobody really wanted to be around each other. I mean, I won't say out of all of us, maybe 1 or 2 don't want to see each other, or, 1 don't want to see all 3 of us, or, it was just different. It was just too much. It started getting forced.
I mean, was there ever any real drama, like a fist fight or something just going crazy?
Some fights. Well, we only had really 2 fights. Like, me and Kandi had a little slap, you know what I'm saying? A little quickie, you know what I'm saying? And I was pregnant, so, it wasn't that bad, but we did have a little slap here and there, we got into a little. And then Tasha and Kandi finally got into a fight as well. And it just seemed like it was a long overdue time because they were always kind of back and forth. And it finally escalated into a real fight. And I just remember us rehearsing. I don't remember what we were rehearsing for, but that rehearsal hall was turned upside down. Okay.
Okay, just a full-blown fist fight.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, who won from your perspective?
I will not tell you that. You will have to find out in the movie.
In the movie, okay.
Yes. Okay,
so now you guys break up. And everyone kind of does their sort of solo thing to a certain degree. You end up kind of focusing on the writing.
Yes.
And in 2000, a couple years after you guys break up, that's when No Scrubs comes together.
Yes.
And I mean, TLC was already on fire by this point. Just completely on fire. I mean, weren't they like breaking records for like the biggest selling like all-female group or something of that sort by that time?
They definitely were. I mean, TLC at that time could not be stopped. Everything they was touching was on fire, literally, So, yeah. I mean, it was a major move for me and Kandi to even be able to place a song with TLC. We initially was writing that song for our own. We were gonna become a 2-man group because the group was broke up. So it was gonna be called Kandi and Tiny, KAT. And we were making all kinds of different songs. And No Scrub was one of the songs we made out of the 15 other nasty songs we were making. Me and Kandi had some very nasty music. I just, when I think about it, it's like, what were we thinking? But anyway, No Scrubs was one of the songs that we wrote, and we really like, this is a hit, And when somehow Tony Mercedes got a hold of it and took it to LA and them, and it just got out of hand, and it came back like, TLC wants this song. And we're like, no, You know what I'm saying? And they like, what do you mean? Shakespeare's like, what do you mean? TLC wants this song. And for a minute, like, we just was like, no, we are doing this song. This song is for us. And then we thought about it, like, we tripping. TLC want the song. So we gave TLC the song, and it was the best thing we could have ever done.
I mean, I remember when that came out, men hated that song.
I know. But then the men went and made a song called No Pigeons. And it was the best thing they could have done because we got paid from that too. So, yes, we loved it.
Right. Because when I was looking up, researching you won an ASCAP rap award for No Pigeons?
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
Because they sampled you?
Because I forgot.
Okay, but you didn't actually write on that song. It was because they sampled you, right?
Yeah, it's because they sampled us. Right.
Right. And No Pigeons was like the men's reply.
Yes.
Like basically, y'all calling us scrubs, we're going to call y'all pigeons. And
pretty much.
Pretty much. And then later on, you fast forward a few years, and Ed Sheeran has the song Shape of You, which ends up becoming a massive worldwide smash.
Yes.
And people start commenting saying, hey, this song kind of sounds like No Scrubs a little bit.
Yes. I mean, like I said, the song No Scrub just keeps on blessing us and blessing us. And this song may bless us for the rest of our life. Who knows? But, it just keeps coming around for us. And, we just, like I said, we couldn't have picked a better thing to do was give this song to TLC. It was
right, and actually,
life-changing.
Yeah, and what's actually kind of ironic, now that I really think about it, was there was this monumental lawsuit over Pharrell, Robin Thicke, and T.I. song Blurred Lines, right?
Yeah.
Up until that point, you can make a song that kind of sounded like another song, and you can get away with it, right? Yeah. But then when Blurred Lines came out, the estate of Marvin Gaye said, we're going to sue you over this song sounding similar to a Marvin Gaye song. Mm-hmm. And they won. Mm-hmm. Like a $5 million lawsuit. Now, T.I. had nothing to do with it. He's just rapping on the song, right? He didn't compose the music, so he didn't take that hit. But from what I understand, that lawsuit set a precedent in the music industry, which is why people like Ed Sheeran would just turn around and say, okay, I'm just going to give writing credit to Tiny before she ends up suing me and ends up doing the same thing over like the Blurred Lines lawsuit. Is that a fair sort of assessment?
I mean, I think it is, because, people, if they feel like their work is being used, then of course they're going to want something. And I just think if you want to use it, then just pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, everybody's happy.
You end up dating T.I. in 2001. By that time, you had how many children?
I had one child when I started dating him. Well, we have 7 kids in all. Me and him end up having 4 kids together. Wait. Major. Yeah, 4 kids, but one was stillborn. So we have 3 living kids together that we had together. And then we have his 3 kids and my other daughter. So 7 of them.
Okay. So yeah, in 2007, you had a child that was stillborn. I guess it was 6 months in?
Yes.
And that was the first child that you guys were supposed to have together?
That was our second child.
Our second child, okay.
Yes.
How devastating was that whole incident? Very
devastating. It was probably like my saddest moment in my life, like, when I was in my darkest time. Because I'm always pretty upbeat. I don't really have a lot of times where I'm like down and I'm just like, feeling depressed or whatever. I don't really have those moments that much, thank God. I've had it here and there, but that was the most I've ever been like out of it for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of women go through miscarriages, but a stillborn, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, like, I was just like, the thought of going home, having a baby, but not going home with a baby, like, that is traumatizing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Thank you.
Well, by 2005, Xscape had been broken up for a while, but then you guys tried to reunite and do a fourth album, Unchained.
Yeah, Unchained.
But that didn't really work out according to plan.
No, it didn't work out. We didn't have, our business wasn't together, which is a long time problem for Xscape, and it just wasn't like worth, it was my relationship was very rocky for me trying to go out and pursue this that wasn't even together, you know what I'm saying? And I gave it a go because I felt like it's worth a shot. I would love to do this. And because the business wasn't together, everything was going so wrong, I just gave it up. Kind of like, I can't, I kind of want to go back and get my relationship back because this is going to hell. And this is a part of my, so I just, it just stopped moving. I think all the pieces were crumbling down together.
So was that pretty much the end of Xscape at that point?
Yeah, for me it was, because I felt like, well, we tried it, and I gave it a go. I put a lot of strain on my relationship for it, and it didn't work, and I didn't feel like I would want to try that anymore. I was kind of like happy with, I kind of had was been put at my feet, so I kind of felt like, why am I, going to stress it if it's not going to ever get together and be totally, 100%.
I mean, you guys had a great run.
We really did, and it was exciting, and I felt like, it was worth it. Like, it was something that we love, But at that time when we did Unchained, we didn't have, it wasn't, Kandi wasn't there, and it was, the business wasn't together, so it just wasn't like real. It didn't seem the same.
Well, by 2011, you guys decided to do the reality show with
Yes.
the family hustle. With the track record of reality shows, a lot of times you see, couples like Hulk Hogan and his wife happily married for 100 years, then they do a reality show, and then next thing you know, they're divorcing, and his wife is dating an 18-year-old, and it just ends up being somewhat of a mess. But you're actually executive producing this show. So did you feel like having your hands in that part of the business would prevent that?
Well, I mean, I know that it was a big issue in my household because we spoke about it, at first. First of all, in 2009, I did my first reality show, which was Tiny and Toya, with me and just Toya, Toya Wright, which is Lil Wayne's baby mother, and ex-wife at the time. And so we did our show. It was very successful. And it brought on, me trying to get Tip to let us do a family show, and he wasn't really with it. And then once he got out, I know he wanted to, I guess, show himself. He was kind of like, just a lot of bad stigma, and want to show himself in a different light. And he kind of agreed to work with us and do it. But he was also, that was his biggest thing. Like, everybody gets together and they break up. You see all the couples and the Bobby Brown and Whitney and this and that. And, and I got it. And I was definitely afraid of that. And it did put some strain on our relationship. If you see him, we, was about to divorce here and there and breaking up here and there. But it also still brought us close too at the same time. And we're still like fighting it out. We're still here together, at the end of the day.
You guys went on Red Table Talk, you and T.I., to talk about how you guys almost got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
How stressful was that whole time?
I mean, it was pretty stressful because, I was going through what I was going through within myself. But once I filed, everything becomes public record. And, you file, you want to deal with things privately, but at the same time, there's no way to be private in that, when you're dealing with a celebrity couple, when they're trying to go through marital issues. And it just put a lot of back and forth, a lot more strain on just what we had going on. And for a while, it went on for a while, you know, and I think that it just made us see like what we were, you know, are we really ready to go that far, or do we really want to fight? Like, what is it, you know what I'm saying? Is it worth fighting for? It kind of made us see what we had within each other and if we really felt like it was worth it, you know, and brought us back.
Right. I remember on the show, on Red Table Talk, you said that you've never slept with anyone else, and he said, I've never been dishonest with you. And it was sort of this kind of, people are trying to kind of decipher that whole thing. How did you take that statement?
Period.
Yeah.
You know, I guess he meant what he says. You know?
What's really, you know, I mean, because you see so many, you know, so many couples getting divorced. And it seems like, wasn't the timing of the divorce right after you guys had a baby?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when you usually see it. Like right after the baby comes, and you know, sometimes the woman goes through, you know, the postpartum depression. I don't know if you went through that or not, but a lot of women do. And suddenly you have this whole new situation. You know, you got a newborn baby, and there's all these responsibilities, even if you have nannies. Was that really the cause of triggering the divorce? And then afterwards?
I think for me, I did have postpartum depression, but not with Eris. Mainly with Major, and I don't really know why. You know what I'm saying? I kind of wasn't used to ever having it, and then I caught myself like feeling like, oh dang, you're really dealing with it. I just feel like when you have a baby, I don't know what it is, it puts a lot of strain on the relationship. And especially after, I don't know what it is. Some first like 4 or 5 months after, it's like, you know, I don't know what it is, but it's something that it is that, I mean, maybe the woman is caring to the baby so much, the man needs attention. It's just like, it's ridiculous, it's crazy, but something goes wrong in between that time of carrying the baby and after you have the baby. And once you get back on your feet and you got your stuff together and you can kind of like maneuver, you know, everything starts to come full circle for you, you know. And whether or not you're being with the father or not, you kind of got a grasp on what you know, how you gonna handle things and how you gonna move. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like after those first few months of after having her, whether or not I was dealing with him or not, once I got to the point to where I could like move and do things, I was all right.
At one point, you got your eyes done. And people don't really understand what that is. So maybe can you explain? Because I had never heard of it before or after.
I can't remember what year it was. Might have been 2013, 2014, somewhere in there.
2014, yeah.
Okay, I went and got my eyes done. I went to Africa, and basically I had been researching it for a while, like for years, like maybe like 3-4 years, and I kind of forgot about it. I was researching it a while, then I forgot about it, and then something popped up and was like, what happened to the eye thing, you know? And I just started like researching it, going through, talking to the people over there, talking to the different doctors, speaking to some of their clients and different things of that nature. But what it is pretty much what they use to fix cataracts in the States. But over there, they do it cosmetically. So it's the same material, same procedure, but it's just not done just to fix your eyes. It's done if you want to change your color. So when I went over there, like literally there was a hotel they put me in, and as soon as I walked in there, everybody in the hotel looked like they had just got out of the surgery. Everybody had beautiful eyes over there, and I'm like, oh my God, like looking around at all these people like, dang. So everybody's here to get their eyes done. It was crazy. And I met a lot of friends, and I've still been trying to find these people. I don't know. I think maybe I had another email or something, but I met some people from Paris and just all over, and I haven't been able to contact them because I don't know how to reach them. But yes, I wanted to keep up with them and just see how they were doing. For a while, I did.
Okay, and you could get any color? You could get blue, brown, whatever?
So they have like a chart full of colors, and at the time they had a brown. It was like a honey brown, but not like a hazel brown. you know. So they didn't have, and then, you know, I know the next year after, I think they said they was getting like some hazel color and a green and hazel color. They was telling me, oh, we got new colors coming in, you know, because they'll tell you can switch them out, but I'm not doing all of that. I just went that one time and I'm good. Thank God that it, you know, I was blessed to be able to. But honestly, when I came home, I checked my eyes so much. I went to the eye doctor like once every week, once every 2 weeks, like just to check to make sure my pressure was good, make sure everything was good. So I just kept a hold of trying to make sure I didn't come to any problems without, you know, being quick on it. And thank God I just never was able. I had, you know, here and there, you know, your pressure might be up, but they'll give you some and bring it down. And I've never really had any issues other than I don't have any issues now. I go to the doctor now and they're like, yo, everything's great. You know, your eyesight's the same as it was last time, you know. So everything's going good, thank God.
Well, Tiny, thank you so much for coming back. Congrats on the new show.
Thank you.
Making boss moves since we talked last time 6 years ago.
Yes.
You know, still married, still putting out really positive imagery. You know, doing your own shows, a catalog that's timeless. You know, you'll be able to, you know, once the pandemic ends, you can go back to touring if that's what you want to do.
That would be great.
Off those same hits from all those years ago,
Yes.
which, you know, most artists can't do. Most artists can't, you know, they don't have songs that make it past that era. And what you do is, I mean, what you've done is you have timeless music that you can continue to tour off of, and it still continues to get played to this day. I mean, you know, you look at Spotify, which wasn't even around back then, you have millions of listens on this new platform. And this is all catalog listens.
Right, right. I mean, it was really dope for us to go on a world tour, our first headline tour ever, and we sold out everywhere we went. I mean, it was just amazing for us to be able to do that. So we was just, you know, on old music. So it's a blessing for a group to be loved and, you know, still respected, still people want to come see you, you know, do what you do on old music.
Yep. Well, congrats on everything, Tiny. Wish you all the best.
Thank
Until
you so
next
much.
time.
You too.
Peace.